It is our pleasure now to welcome aboard, of course, the 7-time Pro Bowler, the 2-time All-Pro. He played for your New York Jets for 11 seasons. He's now got his number 74 barbecue sauce, which we'll get to in just a moment. Nick Mangold is our guest. We can see you. We're on Twitch wearing the Star Wars T-shirt.
What's up, Nick?
Nick, good to have you, man. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. You know, we figure we start with some softball questions here to get you warmed up a little bit. Let's do Mary F. Kill, Pennington, Favre, Sanchez. Go.
That's a tough one. So, all right, I'll have to. Well, Sanchez is just so pretty, so he gets the F. Pennington's steady Eddie, so he gets the Mary. So I guess Brett, just sorry, buddy.
Thank you for answering that. I meant that as a joke. The fact that you answered that, you are now at the top of my list of all-time interviews, just like that.
Nick, Nick, do you how long did it take you after retirement? Do you miss the game? Do you miss suiting up, the teammates, the locker room? How long did that itch take for it to go away?
The biggest thing, I don't miss waking up feeling terrible. I do miss the guys in the locker room. I miss the camaraderie of it. And I don't think that ever is going to go away. I think we all try to find that in some different venue. But as far as actually missing the game, I haven't really. I still love it. I still watch it every Sunday. I'm glued to the TV. So I still love the game, but I don't miss playing it.
How about what we just witnessed in Super Bowl 55, Nick? Put rooting interest aside, but the fact that game, the guys up front really decided the game. The offensive line for Tampa Bay, the defensive line for the Buccaneers. I mean, that was old school football a few weeks back down in Tampa.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, and it was great to see. And it was kind of nice for me being able to enjoy and appreciate Tom without him wearing a New England Patriots jersey. It made it so much easier.
We were talking about he's had like the opposite of a heel turn. He's had like a face turn here where he was like the villain, and then all of a sudden, because of, he's doing all this stuff at 43, I think men kind of look at him and say, like, he's become like a beacon for them, and now he's like universally beloved. Nick, I can't believe that we've gotten here with Tom Brady. Why don't we hate this guy anymore?
I know, right? It's crazy how the world just keeps turning. But I think once he got out of the evil empire, makes you wonder, like, maybe we could really like Darth Vader. I don't know. If he was out, it's one of those things. Like, and I never really thought I would ever be able to say that. But then watching the playoff run, it was still kind of iffy. But then once the Super Bowl began and watching everything leading up to it, it was like, you know what? I'm kind of rooting for Tom.
Is the 74 barbecue sauce, is that part of the TB12? Is that okay if I decide to get locked into the Brady diet, Nick, or no?
I have no idea. I have not looked into the TB12 method. I know that if your diet consists of loving your taste buds, then I would definitely go with the 74 BBQ.
Is the 74 BBQ, is that a Nightshade barbecue sauce or not a Nightshade barbecue sauce? I have to get that all figured out before Tom Brady would ever touch it. Nick Mangold is our guest.
Exactly.
And we'll talk more about the barbecue sauce because you're doing some cool things with NYPD, the NYFD, the Port Authority, and EMS as well, on a more serious note. But Moose asked you if you missed the game. And, I think that's a different question than, if you miss the Jets, because – you got to think back over your 11 years. There are some crazy times with those Jets teams. You had a lot of characters on those teams. You had a coach who was a big character when Rex was here. Was the craziest time, when Geno got punched, or was there another time that can top that? What's the craziest when you looked around? You're like, this is nuts. This is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the get-go, the whole thing was nuts. Me and Brick getting drafted together in 2006. That was crazy enough as it was. No team had done that since I think it was 1974. So that's crazy. And then you go along. Favre coming in out of nowhere, that was crazy. Rex coming in, and Sanchez being a young pup and eating a hot dog on the sideline and that blowing up all the way through. Just the crazy. And I feel like I really need to sit down and kind of go back through with teammates from each of those years so I can remember, because you forget so much, and someone will say something, oh yeah, I forgot about that, the 6 years we were in Cortland, that kind of just goes right over your head. And there's so many stories from Cortland. Hard Knocks, I mean, we had a full season of Hard Knocks, so there's so many things that went on And it was some of them good, some of them bad, but all of them kind of blended together to make an unreal experience.
Yeah, I gotta, I'd love to know, when you guys find out that Rex has the tattoo of his wife in the Sanchez jersey, like, how does that go over in the locker room?
I mean, it was just, it's Rex. Like, that was the crazy part. Like, it's just, you kind of expected. And so it was never anything like, oh my God, this is the weirdest thing ever. It'd be like, that's Rex.
Just another day. Foot fetish, another day. Maybe. We're not sure.
Did anything surprise you with when Favre came aboard, Nick?
I think just how quickly it happened. That was 2008. So that was my third year in the league, just starting my third year. And I hadn't really gotten to see the full business side of the NFL. And that was the one that really kind of hit home to, hey, this is a true business, because we had flown out to Cleveland for a preseason game. And the trade happened that night. And they sent Chad back to New Jersey. And he was on his way to Miami, I think, a day later. And then Favre showed up in the locker room, kind of like a hero's welcome, as he marched through the locker room before we were playing a preseason game. So it was one of those things you never really thought it would happen. I grew up watching Brett, and so to have the opportunity to play with him was a lot of fun.
Am I remembering this right? Wasn't this like a story when you guys both had to run like a penalty lap at some point during training camp? Yeah, that was back at Hofstra or something, right?
That was back at Hofstra. We had just gotten there. It was our first practice together, and if you had a penalty or a fumble, you had to run a lap, and a center QB exchange fumble, everyone had to run a lap, and so it was Brett and I were running our lap, and it was weird because I think they had like 15,000 people came out to that first practice. And people are cheering. And, we got a chuckle that they were cheering that we did something bad, and that's why we were running. And, Brett was not trying to get back to practice any faster. So it was definitely a slow jog. And that was right when YouTube was starting to come around. Because I remember when we were coming off the field, one of the equipment guys that was inside was like, oh, my God, you guys have so many views on YouTube. And I was like, I don't know what YouTube is. But it's weird how much things have changed in 13 years.
Yeah, now it'd be Twitch, YouTube, Twitch, all of that stuff. You can watch us on Twitch, by the way, right now as we're talking with Nick Mangold. Okay, so that was a crazy trade when Favre came here. Obviously, there's a possibility that the Jets could pull off another crazy trade this offseason if Deshaun Watson actually is available and if this thing could get worked out. Let's just put Sam Darnold aside for a second. Like, he's not part of this conversation because I know you'd want no disrespect to Sam. He's under contract. But you hear about Deshaun Watson potentially being available. I mean, what goes through your mind as a former Jet who went to 2 AFC championship games? You guys were so close to the Super Bowl. You know what it's like in this town when this team is really, really good and how the fans are just dying for it. What is your thoughts on possibly pulling off a Deshaun Watson trade?
Yeah, and you're right. The fans are starving for quality football from the New York Jets, and so I think it would be huge. My concern with the Deshaun Watson extravaganza is that Houston seems to be really sticking to their guns. And they're going to be asking for, a full load of draft picks and probably everything else. For a team that I think has a lot of issues, that might not be the best course of action. I think it would be awesome to have a guy. I think Deshaun's 25, so he's in his prime. He's playing lights out. He's, if not a top 5, he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league. It would be fantastic. I'm concerned that we have so many holes. That even if we were to be able to trade for him, we wouldn't be able to put the supporting cast around him to let him live up to the expectations that he's already shown that he can do.
Fair. We had Willie Colon on a couple weeks back, and he's a big fan of Sam, Nick. The way he's handled himself, he believes that there's a level that Darnold is going to get to as a quarterback. If it's not here in New York, it'll be someplace else. What do you say to the Jet fan that says, you know what, let's build around Sam? We haven't done anything the last couple of years. The roster's not particularly good. The offensive line has struggled. What about those that still believe in Darnold going into year 4?
I completely understand where they're coming from. You look at it, and obviously Sam's rookie year, he's a rookie, so you kind of wash off rookie years for QBs. His second year, he has to deal with mono, which is just laughable that we have to mention that. Yeah. And then had a pretty strong ending to that season. And then this year had to deal with, I think, a depleted roster along with everything COVID related. I just don't know if you've had a true evaluation of what Sam can be. And I'd hate for something to happen where he gets sent off, similar to Drew Brees out of San Diego. Drew Brees goes to New Orleans, wins the Super Bowl. He's one of the best quarterbacks ever. And San Diego's sitting there like, hey, what happened? So it's one of those things. I don't know. And so I understand where people have the faith of it. And I hope, that's the one thing I'm encouraged by is that Joe Douglas was here for a full year before having to make this decision, because he's able to see Sam in meetings around the facility, the way that he carried himself in practice. And he's not coming in fresh. So he has a good base. And I trust JD to do what he needs to do.
And one more on Sam, Nick, about the way he's handled it. Has it impressed you? I get a sense from, former Jets and players that, Sam has not been outspoken. He's handled his last 3 years really, really well, the ups and the downs, and it's been down the last year and a half. Does that say a lot about the young man?
Yeah, I think so. I think in this, especially in this market, one misquote and he could tank a whole thing. He could say, well, I don't have enough weapons, or I don't have people protecting me, and that would explode into a huge snowball. So the fact that he has been able to stay level-headed, with as bad as it's been for at least the past year, I think shows promising signs. Now, does that translate on the football field? Yeah. We'll see. But at least on the mindset, the mentality that he has, that's definitely a positive.
Nick Mangold is our guest. We'll talk about the number 74 BBQ sauce that he has and doing some really good things with NYPD and NYFD and so forth. So, Nick, for Mekhi Becton, are you sending him cases of the sauce? Or, people have said the only thing they think that really could end up derailing Becton, and knock on wood, not injuries, but his weight. Going into this offseason and then year two, what would be your advice for Becton about how to get even better, build on that rookie year, and become that franchise left tackle?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the kid. I've been able to. I did a virtual content thing with him this season, and it was really awesome. Really, really good kid. And I'm excited for him. I think he had a fantastic rookie year. And I think this offseason is probably going to be one of the most important offseasons he'll have in his career, because this is the first time that he's out on his own. Coming from college, you always have classes to go to. You have winter work and everything. This year, once the exit meeting's done, he's out until, if they're still doing virtual offseason, he might not even be back till August. So this is going to be a big test for him. Does he have the right people around him? Does he have a good foundation to say, hey, listen, I can't go off the rails. I need to stay in top form and keep working and keep getting better, because this is one of the first opportunities that he has to really have a lot of freedom. I found out the hard way, my rookie year, finishing up, those exit meetings were done. They're like, all right, we'll see you in March. And I'm like, so who do I check in with? Like, no, you're done. Like,
I don't want to go to the cafeteria, or what do we?
you can go do whatever you want to do. And so that's a whole new mindset that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over when they talk about the transition from college to the NFL. Rookie year is always difficult, but that first offseason can really be a game changer.
Nick, have you liked what you've heard from new head coach Robert Saleh?
Yeah, I have. He seems what I like to hear from everyone is that he's great with the full team. That he's and I think Christopher Johnson mentioned it, that they're looking for a CEO of the team. And I really like that. You look at what Bruce Arians did down in Tampa, where he had a really hands-off approach, let his coordinators do what they had to do, and he managed the whole team. And that seemed to work out pretty well down there in Tampa. And I'm hoping for the same thing here.
Nick, what about, Saleh trying to bring guys with him to amplify his message in the locker room? Rex did that, obviously, and brought guys over with him, Bart and others. But, the idea that maybe Richard Sherman could potentially be one of those guys who could come over to help him amplify his message in the locker room, do you think that would be a good fit, Richard Sherman in New York?
Yeah, I think it would be very interesting to see Richard in the New York market, because he has never had a loss of words, and so to have the media capital of the world at his disposal would be interesting. But if he knows the system, he knows what they're trying to get done. I think more the merrier, because I want to see it work, and I think that's the best part of when you do transition to a new coach, is that we're all hopeful. I don't think anyone's sitting here and being like, I hope he fails and we have to get a new one in 2 years. Everyone's sitting here hopeful that, hey, this is going to be the guy. This is going to be how we get to the promised land.
All right, Nick, let's talk a little barbecue, right? Because Maggie and I, we're all foodies here. First, before we get into the sauce, I want to know, what does the Mangold barbecue pit look like? Like, do you have like a full smoker? Do you have 3 grills going during the course of the summer? Like, I'm coming over to Nick Mangold's for a barbecue during the summer. What's that experience like?
Well, it's a full day experience. I don't have a full smoker yet. I've yet to transition to that. I'm a big green egg guy. That's
Okay.
where I started. And yeah, I like the versatility of it. I also have a gas grill at the ready. Here at the house, we also have an outdoor pizza oven, which I like to utilize a little bit too, which is a lot of fun. But the big green egg, I think for me, is one of those things where you can do anything from, your slow smoked brisket and pulled pork all the way up to high heat. You're doing steaks, burgers, pizzas, and everything in between. So it's a lot of fun. It's really opened my eyes. My wife got it for me. I think it was like the second Father's Day. So this was 9 years ago. And I didn't really know what to do with it at first. And then I kind of had my barbecue guru hold my hand a little bit and show me the ways. And once that happened, it really exploded.
Not to like play into the stereotypes, but had a feeling that the offensive line was going to figure out the grill. It wasn't going to take too long to figure out your way around that thing. And okay, so you have your number 74 barbecue sauce. You've got, incredible stuff you're doing with NYPD, NYFD. You talk about that. But like beyond what you've made now for the home chef, right? And for the home barbecue extraordinaire, like where in the country do you think has the best barbecue?
So that's a tough question because, I've been able to, fortunately in the NFL, be able to travel around a decent amount, but you don't get to go out and experience the different cuisines when you're traveling on the road because it's kind of a bang, bang, bang. And I had this huge plan as we were starting 74 BBQ to do like a barbecue tour in the spring of 2020 where I was going to hit and kind of do a little testing of all around. And as we all know, that did not work out. So I'm hoping maybe this fall around football season, I'll be able to travel a little bit and really get a full taste of what everyone has to offer. Because, I think the best part is no matter where you go, it's still barbecue and it's still delicious.
Oh, it is. And
Guy Fieri? Is Guy Fieri in this fantasy?
I would love it. I think we're soulmates. He doesn't know that yet. He might. I don't know. But I know it.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on Fridays is a tremendous watch. When they
I
go
can't
to
watch
Marathon.
it anymore. It makes me too hungry.
All day long.
Too hungry.
Nick, style of sauce here. Your favorite style of sauce for your palate. What do you love?
So what I did for this one, and everyone always asks, like, is it a Carolina style? Is it Texas? What style of sauce is it? And I like to make a joke that it's the New Jersey barbecue style because it's kind of a blend of everything. I was tinkering in the kitchen for a while, trying to figure out what sauce. And this was back before I even had an idea to start my own sauce. So I just wanted to do something for friends and family because, I was enjoying cooking. I was like, you know what, let's take out the one last thing that I can't control, the sauce, and make my own. So I tinkered with it for a while. So it has a bunch of different influences from all over the country and all kind of blends together to its own unique taste, which I love. And it seems like other people do. And you can't really pinpoint it. It's barbecue. It definitely tastes like barbecue, but you can't say, well, this is definitely a Texas style sauce.
And we love what you're doing with the Answer the Call, which is a certain type of barbecue sauce you have where, the proceeds going to and helping to assist families of NYPD, NYFD, the Port Authority, and EMS. So that's fantastic.
Awesome.
And I'm sure they are so thrilled with that, Nick. And we know how close a relationship you have with those four services. And that's great. One last one for you from me. Turning away from the barbecue sauce for a moment. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's been a lot of Percy Harvin stories out in the internet and out in the world lately. Got a Percy Harvin story?
I should, but I don't have one on the tip of my tongue. This is an internet sensation now.
There's been like Cam Newton did an interview, pardon me, where he was talking about a Percy Harvin story about how, the coaches in the middle of a college game decided they needed to get the ball to him more and just like drew up a play on the sideline, just right there on the spot. He goes in, takes the ball like 80 yards to the house with basically like a jet sweep kind of thing. And then there's been other like Percy Harvin kind of stories that have been come out since then. And I was curious if you had one.
I'm sure I do. If I had more time to think about it, if I could put myself back into that season, I'd probably come up with something good. But unfortunately, you know what? I'll have to come back next week and we'll just do this all over again.
Absolutely.
And
How about tomorrow?
As long as we can
because the internet things last forever, so I don't think that we'll have moved on by then.
As long as we can talk a little barbecue. Nick, keep the recipes coming on the website as well. The chicken lollipop.
Working on it.
All right.
Oh, those are my favorite. I love them.
Oh, fantastic. Love them. Hey, Nick, we appreciate it. Continued success. Good luck with the sauce and everything. And thanks for hopping on with us today.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. 74barbecue.com. And he's got fantastic barbecue recipes on there as well. So there you have it. The thoughts of Nick Mangold.